We are now doing this Srimad Bhagavatam 4.14.10 and the story of King Vain. That's what we are discussing. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aher iva paya posha poshakasyapi anarthabhut vena prakartayeva khala sunitha dharma sambhavaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The sages began to think within themselves in quotes, because he was born from the womb of Sunit. King Vain is by nature very mischievous. Supporting this mischievous king, exactly like maintaining a snake with milk, now he has become a source of all difficulties. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Saintly persons are generally aloof from social activities and materialistic way of life. King Vain was supported by the saintly persons just to protect the citizens from the hands of rogues and thieves. But after his ascendance to the throne, he became a source of trouble to the sages. Saintly people are especially interested in performing sacrifices and austerities for the advancement of spiritual life. But Vain, instead of being obliged because of saints' mercy, turned out to be the enemy because he prohibited them from executing their ordinary duties. A serpent who is maintained with milk and bananas simply stores poison in his teeth and awaits a day to bite his master. Complex verse, but anyway, let's see. Okay, I'll just pay obeisances. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschadeshtarine. Okay, so Aheriva Paya Posha Poshakasya Api Anartha Bhrit Vena Prakarte Vakhala Sunitha Garva Sambhava. Now we are talking about Vain as this context is proceeding. Now Vain is in the line of Dhruva and he's one of the king. But he's quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam because I mean to say there are so many kings who are pious, like Prithu Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Swayambhu Manu. They were all kings and very pious, but here we are quoting, they are actually giving a story of King Vain, who is actually who turned out to be a useless king. Now, why does Srimad Bhagavatam give a negative example of a king who is not following his duties? This is because a light can be appreciated only in darkness, or good can be assimilated only in the presence of evil. Happiness can be experienced only after we have experienced miseries. So, although Bhagavatam is talking about very nice things and topmost things and good things, it's Nirmal, Amala Puran, without no mal. By the same time, Bhagavatam is forced to actually discuss topics which are about lust and anger and envy and evil, to actually glorify the best and the good which it is trying to present. So we are talking about Vain here. Now, if you have read this chapter, the verses before, you will find that Vain was not that bad person previously. In fact, his Vishnu Puran also quotes about him. Vishnu Puran is talking in details about him, by the way. He was not that bad, but then gradually he became bad. Now Vishnu Puran says how. Of course, his nature was definitely cruel and severe, as we have seen from Srimad Bhagavatam. But then over the time he became, of course his nature inspired him to do whatever he did, to do complete nonsense things, to become arrogant. He got intoxicated by power. But at the same time, Vishnu Puran says that when he took actually bad association. And in fact, to be specific, Vishnu Puran says he was influenced by some monks who came to his kingdom who were following Jainism. And we all know that Jainism is an atheistic religion. Jainism is totally opposed to all kind of Vedic rituals and sacrifices, and it's totally atheistic philosophy. So King Vain actually met them, and he was influenced by their philosophy. And why he was influenced by their philosophy? Now that's the whole question. Because their philosophy, so Jainism especially, although it's an atheistic system of religion, it talks about non-violence, and it talks about moral qualities. Now, he actually bought that philosophy. Now, so you see the point. But in the garb of goodness, there was an evil within that philosophy, and the evil was no God. And the evil was destroy Sanatana Dharma, destroy Vedas. That was the evil there. Now, whatever happened, I mean to say, Vishnu Puran speaks about this, his conversion into an atheistic king, and also especially his conversion to a bad person by his own nature. Whatever happened, he was not an appropriate king. He was Aher iva paya posha. He was like a snake. Ahe means a snake. He was like a snake. Now, snake is an envious creature. We know snake is envious. Snake bites. Even without provocation. That's envy, isn't it? If you provoke somebody and then they do something, that's not really enviousness, because you have provoked the situation. That's anger. But enviousness is you have not provoked, but still they harm you. That's enviousness. In fact, so I was reading one. Actually, a story of a saint, an Islamic saint, Saint 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗪. 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗪𝗀. Yeah. His name was something like that. So he was a desert father. I mean to say, Christianities have fathers, and he was living in deserts, so he was called a desert father. And there are many desert fathers. So he's one of the main, very famous desert father. His name was 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗪𝗪. 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗪, yeah. Exactly, I don't know how to pronounce, but that's how it goes. Abba, ABBA, Poyaman, Poemen, and you can go on net and read about him. But somebody asked him. They asked him, okay, so what do you define hate as? Hate. So he said, well, hate is when you hate your own faults. That's good hate. But then they asked him, okay, if there's an injunction in scriptures, in their own scriptures, in Bible, if your brother harms you, brother means a devotee, a God brother. That's how in our terms. If your brother harms you, then you should not do anything. So somebody came to him and he asked, what's this injunction all about? If your brother harms you, don't do anything. So our poem says that yes, the meaning of this is, if your brother actually insults you, don't do anything. Don't retaliate. And if your brother plucks your eyes and cuts your hand, don't retaliate. But if your brother stops you from serving God, then this injunction doesn't hold. Now, you see the point. The point is, vain is like a snake, and snake is envious. Now, envious people, they do something without any cause. So fine, they might harm you physically. They might actually politicize behind your back, and it happens in devotee community. It happens. But at the same time, they might be doing anything. Okay, they're envious. Without any sufficient reason or sufficient cause, they are doing all these things. So what to do in that case? Well, in that case, okay, fine. What to do? Nothing. That's all. Just keep on going. At the same time, King Vain was doing all these things. He was politicizing. He was doing so bad things. But at the same time, one thing when he started doing, then sages were really disturbed. And that thing was, when any devotee or anybody out of enviousness, when he's harming you physically, no problem. When he's harming you mentally, no problem. But when he's harming you spiritually, then that's a problem. If he's taking you away from God, then you have to take some steps. Otherwise, no problem. So King Vain started doing this. He actually stopped. He not only stopped thieves and rogues, but he also stopped saintly persons. He stopped sacrifices. And actually, he became a source of trouble to the sages, it is said in this purport. Saintly persons are especially interested in performing sacrifices and austerities for advancement of spiritual life, but Vain, instead of being obliged because of saints' mercy, turned out to be the enemy because he prohibited them from executing the ordinary duties. See, he stopped spiritual sacrifices. He actually started rampaging sannyasis and all those saints which were following Vedic religion. He was trying to stop Vedic codes and conducts. Why? Because we know the history. He was a bad person, but at the same time, he was a bad king. But at the same time, he actually accepted the philosophy of Jainism, which is atheistic. And then that's how we can explain his actions. Otherwise, it's very difficult to explain the actions because no matter how much a king is bad king, he will not interfere with religion. He will not interfere with religious policies. In fact, even Islam came to India, and they were converting Hindus. But at the same time, they were very careful of this fact also because if you try to touch religion, then there's a revolt. So they practically came to compromise. Okay, Hindus can follow their own religion. We have their own religion, but they can pay some taxes. That's what we went. Follow another kind of religion, more taxes, which I think it's in Islamic word it is called zihar or something like that. I forgot that term. Some extra money which you pay for following some other religion. Of course, they were called kafir because they were following other religion. But at the same time, you can't kill all kafirs. You can't kill all kafirs because now they are ruling a country. Can't kill the whole country, then who will be left? So there are two options when Muslims came: either convert them into Hinduism, but that can't be done because then there'll be a revolt. So they settle like that. So Vain could have done like that, no matter how much spoiled and nonsense person he was. he actually, sensible thing was to do like that. He could have, okay, he would have told, fine, I've converted to a different philosophy, but then you can follow your own thing, just give me some taxes. And things go like this in history. People have done like that. His ministers would have actually counseled him like that, but he didn't do because he was in a mood to exterminate Vedic religion because of this philosophy, his philosophical change of attitude, and establish Jainism, which is an atheistic religion. And that's how we can actually explain this his actions here by actually referring to Vishnu Puran. Why he's rampaging sacrifices, prohibiting sages to do their ordinary duties and austerities and sacrifices. He's trying to actually stop Vedic culture. So he's like a snake. That's the whole point. He is like a snake. He's not only envious, but his enviousness has led him to stop people from approaching God. And that's not tolerable. That's the whole idea in this verse. That's not tolerable. That's not a good thing. He became a source of trouble to sages. That's what the purport says. Sages had no problem until unless... See, previously the verses came, King Vain was severe and cruel, it is said. Sages had no problem. Because at least his cruelty and severity was actually protecting citizens from hands of rogues and thieves. But then the whole point was, of course, that was a problem also because he didn't know how to rule, and then probably he was also torturing citizens to a certain extent. But then sages were doing their own stuff and things were going on nicely. They were instructed, they were educated. They said, okay, fine, Vain is not a good king, but at the same time, you take Vedic education and you learn things and keep on continuing how much long Vain will live. But then when Vain started obstructing spiritual path of others, that's a problem. That is why he is said to be a snake. A snake, I mean to say, there are so many envious living beings. Like mosquitoes are envious, and the envious humans. Snake is envious, but snake is actually a typical example of enviousness because he not only harms you, but he kills you. Snake will kill you. That's the whole point. Mosquito will not kill you. Out of enviousness, it can bite you. Your relations, your enemies, your friends, they might be envious of you. They might harm you politically or something, but none of them will kill you. That's a big thing. But snake will kill you. None of them will kill you in the first option. That will be the last option to kill. Last, when things are out of control. But snake, the first option is to kill. That's all. It's so envious. And that's why Vain is called snake, because he's trying to kill the whole kingdom. You kill the whole kingdom by destroying education, by destroying Vedas, by destroying Brahmanas. The whole society collapses. The Brahmanas are lost, the Vedas are lost, knowledge is lost, there is no directions. The whole society will collapse. That's how you kill a society. You can kill a person by poison. You can kill a family by actually killing the head of the family. You can kill an army by killing the commander. And you can kill a kingdom by either killing the king, or because then there'll be chaos, or by actually killing the Brahmanas or the guide who give education, by destroying education. And that's what he was trying to do. That's why it's called snake. He became like a snake. His first option, the foremost thing what came to be in his mind after some time of his rule was destroy Vedic religion. And that's why Bhagavatam is quoting his example. He's not an ordinary mischievous king. He's a special mischievous king. That's how it goes. And the speciality is thing here, he's just trying to destroy Vedic culture. And the example is given, anybody who tries to destroy Vedic culture, or Vedas, or the conclusion of Vedas, or Vishnu itself, or sacrifices of Vishnu, he will be destroyed. That's all. So it's the same thing. I mean to say, why the example of Hiranyakashipu is given? To actually show us that anybody who is against God, he'll be destroyed. Anybody who is his servant, he'll be saved. Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. The same thing going on. There the fight happened physically, but here the fight is happening conceptually. And the vain, of course, now vain has become physical. He's destroying sacrifices. And the Brahmanas will come and destroy vain. It will happen further when you read. So, Ahir Iva Paya Posha. He became like a snake, completely envious, trying to kill Vedic culture. And Ahir Iva Paya Posha. Now, he is a snake who is nourished by milk. That's interesting, because Srila Prabhupada says, instead of being obliged because of saints' mercy, turned out to be the enemy because he prohibited from them to do their ordinary duties. So Vain was such a person. He became trouble to the sages. He was not ruling properly. He was troubling them, and he was trying to politicize to destroy Vedic culture. He was doing anything. At the same time, the sages, I mean to say, but externally he was, all these things were going on internally. Sages understood that, and he was actually, he was ruling the kingdom. He was taking taxes. He was actually hoarding all the money in his kingdom, and he was not ruling properly. He was taking advantage of his own kingdom. He was a snake who was maintained with milk and bananas. He was like a snake who is trying to destroy his own kingdom by taking advantage of his own kingdom. An advantage of sages. He's trying to destroy sages by taking their advantage. He took their blessings to destroy them. What's happening? That's like a snake. You give a snake milk and bananas, you maintain it and it will destroy you. You see the point? In childhood I read that book, The Mark of Vishnu. There was a poem, The Mark of Vishnu. You might have, I don't know, you might have read or not, but I read it. In schools they taught. The Mark of Vishnu. So there was a snake, and this person, I think it was Khushwant Singh's story. This Sardar, there was a snake in the classroom and all the children were very afraid and they climbed on the desks. But this Sikh, he went and he took milk and bananas, gave it to snake, and the snake was drinking that. So he went there, and of course he was a Sikh, or no, it was written by Khushwant Singh, but I think he was a Vaishnava. So he had a tilak on his head, Mark of Vishnu. So he said we should have compassion for living beings, and he gave, and the snake was nicely drinking milk. So he went and he paid obeisances to the snake. He said we should see God in everybody. As soon as he got up, snake bit him right on the tilak, on the lotus feet of Vishnu, where he put the tilak. Bit him there, and he died. Now that's what happens with Aheriva Paya Posha. If he was actually malevolent, King Vain became out of control. That's all. Aheriva Paya Posha. Poshakasya api anartha bhrit. And anartha bhrit. Bhrit means maintainer. He was working against his own maintainers. Sages are maintainer of the society. Now sages were doing sacrifices not for their personal benefit. That's not Vedic style. Vedas recommend you should do sacrifices for the benefit of kingdom and the king. And that's why they were doing sacrifices. And that's why sages were educating people, citizens, in Vedic knowledge, so that it's easy for king to rule them, to guide them. How will you guide people who are uneducated, who are simply barbarians? Then you have to be a tyrant. So sages were trying to maintain the kingdom. It's a duty of Brahmanas and saintly persons to maintain the kingdom in assistance to the king. That's what sadhus and sages have to do. Their role in society. Now I'm talking about role in society, not in role in the spiritual life. As to their role in society, their duty. Just like all of us, we are preaching. Now somebody might ask, what you're preaching will help to the society. You are useless people. You're just sitting and chanting and doing nothing for the society. Communists. So well, what's our answer to them? Our answer to them is no. You're preaching the message of God. You're preaching a message of morality, moral principles, which will come when we connect to God. The principles of virtues, good virtues, and all these principles will make the character of the citizen. And the citizen is good. He understands what's goodness. Then it's very easy to rule them. You don't need strict laws. You don't need to rule people. People will follow the rule themselves. That's it will go. So that's our answer. We are helping society in that thing. We're giving them education. That's our whole purpose. So anartha bhrit means maintainer. Anarth. Now that's the whole point. Vain became an anartha to bhrit, to their own maintainer. Anartha means of no value. Artha also means interest. Anartha means he was working against the interest. That's what becomes sometimes. That happens in our own lives. We help somebody, and then he turns out to be our own enemy. He starts to work against us. And if any of you might not have experienced this, you will sometimes. I'm pretty sure about that. Your most near and dear whom you help, they start working against you, and that has happened in history over and over again. It's not a new thing. But at the same time, what to do at that time? That's the whole point. And what did sages do? What did sages do? When he became an anartha bhrit, what did sages do? The sages tried to educate him, tried to bring him on the right path. Why he didn't listen? Finally they decided to actually get rid of him, that's all. So he became an anartha bhrit. Now actually you know what the whole point is. We're talking about vain, but maybe somewhere we are like him, you know. Or we were like him. Let's talk about that. Because Krishna was maintaining us in spiritual world. But we became anartha bhrit. He started working against his interest. And Krishna says, okay, fine, go to material world, that's all. Go to material world. We are working against our own interest. That's what is happening. The soul is maintaining the body, isn't it? But we are working against the soul. We're not doing Krishna consciousness. So what's that? That is anartha bhrit. And that is vain. And that's why Bhagavatam is giving the example of vain, because somewhere we are like vain. Even though we are following spiritual life, but we are acting like him sometimes. And we are working against our own interest. And that's called anartha bhrit. And vena prakartaiva khala. And vain, of course, I mean to say, why he was like that? That's the whole question. And I explained to you, and the Bhagavatam says, vena prakartaiva khala. By prakriti, by nature, he was mischievous. Khal means a cunning man. And you see the point, that is why he was attracted to philosophy of Jainism. Because he was khal, he was a bad person. That's why he was attracted towards atheism. And that's the whole point. You don't do something bad. I mean to say, you don't come in contact with bad and then become bad. But sometimes that might also happen. But sometimes you are bad, and that's why you are attracted towards bad. That's what happens. Amen was one of that person. He was bad, and that is why he was convinced by philosophy of Jainism. He was convinced. oh, this is nice. He actually started liking that concept. No God, no Vedas. Why? Because he was bad. A fly is attracted towards what's that? Trash. A fly sits on stool. Why? Because it is attracted towards stool. It's not that the fly was not attracted to stool and one day it sat on stool and it said, oh, so nice, and started getting attracted. No. Fly is like that. The nature is like that. It wants bad stuff. So as soon as it sits on stool, the fly thinks, oh yeah, this is life. I got what I wanted. I wanted stool. I didn't know what I wanted. I sat on flower and the flower didn't appeal to me. And then I sat on food, fresh food. It didn't appeal to me. But when I sat on stool, I thought, yam labdvana acha param labham. So that's what I think. Why? Because nature is bad. My nature Vain was bad. He was a bad soul with bad sanskaras. So he was naturally attracted towards wrong philosophy, wrong deeds. And that's basically, it's very difficult to overcome our own Prakriti without bhakti. He didn't want to follow bhakti. And I mean to say, even after doing devotion, it takes time to change our nature. And until that time, our nature doesn't change. We are at great risk, because if your nature by previous lives, it's bad, sinful, we'll be attracted towards sin. And then it will be very difficult to control senses and follow devotion. But if your previous lives, your nature is pious and good, you'll automatically be attracted towards good qualities. And doing devotion will be nice, will be easy. So, Vena Prakriti Eva Khala, Sunita Garva Sambhava. And it says, okay, Vain was, of course, Vain's mother was Sunita, and Garva Sambhava. He was born of a womb. Yeah, that's another thing. But anyway, that's not the point I'm discussing. The whole point is, Vain is a symbol of a person, first of all, of a king who is actually doing what he's not supposed to do. The foremost duty of any king. Now we are talking about king, but then the whole point is, it is equally applicable to a leader. A leader in a Krishna conscious society, or a preacher. A preacher is also a leader. So what he's supposed to do? Any preacher, any leader, people around him will tolerate him to any extent. They will be prepared to tolerate him to any extent, no matter how much mistakes he do, whatever he does, no matter how much he might not listen to people under him or work against them. But when it will come to the point of vain, when it will come to the point of harming their spiritual life, when people under you start thinking, my spiritual life is getting harmed, then nobody is going to tolerate. Then they will do. Otherwise, if you're a leader and if you do some mistakes, some political mistakes, some financial mistakes, people mind, but they don't mind so much that they take a drastic step. But if you do some things where their faith, it comes to their faith, and I mean to say, not exactly faith also, because nobody understands what really faith means. I mean to say, people have faith on somebody. I have faith in you, but then their faith gets destroyed because you did this and this and this and this. But the whole point is, the whole basis of their faith was their own concoction. Like, for example, I'll tell you an example. Like, for example, you see, so let's take example of Vain only. I mean to say, sages were watching him, and he was a king. He had to do his own duties. Now, of course, as a king, you do many mistakes, especially when you're like Vain. You're not expert king, and already he was not expert king, and he was really immature. But then there was no option, so he was installed. I mean, the sages knew before actually making him and installing him as a king. He's not really an appropriate person. But there's no option, so he was installed. So they pretty well knew that he will do mistakes, and many citizens will actually get pissed off from his rule. People get troubled because he will not follow laws properly. In spite of knowing this, they actually put him on the throne. I mean to say, in spite of knowing that he's immature and also a little bad. I mean to say, till that time he was not so bad because he didn't have power in his hand. You become bad when you get power, isn't it? Before getting power, people are very innocent, isn't it? I mean to say, everybody's innocent if you don't have power and money. Everybody looks very innocent. But real test is, who is that person? If you want to know who is that person, then you give him power and money, and then you see their real face. That's the whole idea. So sages knew he's pretty mature, vain, and he's okay, he's mischievous. They installed him and they expected his rule will be not good. But that's okay. If he's doing some mistakes financially, politically, socially, no problem. But when he started doing something, when he started obstructing spirituality, then there was a problem. And that's how it goes. If you're a leader, if you're a preacher, and if you do some financial mistakes, political mistakes, social mistakes, people will not mind so much. Of course, people will think he's a mature leader, but they can really cope up with you. But when you start harming their spiritual life, when you become an obstacle in their spiritual life, then there's a problem. So it's a warning to all of our leaders. He's a king, he's a leader, we are also a leader. People under him, people under us. We're guiding some. He's guiding, there are thousands of people under him. There might be 4 or 5 or 10 people under you, but still anyway, you're the leader. So there's a warning, don't try to obstruct others' spiritual life. That's not what we are trying to do. Don't try to do something by which they feel their spiritual life is obstructed. Other mistakes, people can cope up with that. But this we have to really, really think about it. Our actions, our words should not really obstruct their spiritual life. It should enhance their spiritual life. You can obstruct, so you can stop money flow to a department. That's okay. That person who is, so suppose a devotee is pujari, is under you, and he asks him money, he says, no, we can't give you. You're already spending so much. He will feel bad, but that's okay. But if you tell him, well, your worship is not good, I mean to say, you are not worshipping with good emotions, and you don't have a proper bhava, then there'll be a problem, isn't it? Of course, of course, if he wants to listen, of course, there's a method of guidance. That's one thing. But if you tell him, okay, get lost from here and this and that, and if you try to separate people from God, then there'll be the whole problem. So this is the whole point which we learn from King Vain's story. And of course, the another important thing in this whole story of Vain is his end. And you will see in this whole story afterwards, sages came and they actually disposed him off. They actually got rid of him. They killed him. They actually killed him. So that's the whole point. I mean to say, whatever we do in our life, you can afford to do mistakes in any field. But at least nourish yourself, nourish your emotions for God. And don't do mistake in that. That you can't afford it. You can't afford to let your emotions go in material world, in wrong places, because then it goes out of control. Because spirituality is emotions, isn't it? It's emotions. And that's what we are doing. We're trying to direct our bhav, Krishna Bhavana Amritsang, towards God. And that has to be focused upon. Other things, if rules of devotion, if you're able to follow nicely, perfectly, very nice. If you're not able to follow sometimes out of some grave reasons, I mean, we try to follow everything, but out of some practical reasons, some rules cannot be followed. Okay, Krishna doesn't mind so much. If you follow, that's the best. If you can't follow, Krishna doesn't mind so much. And if you probably fight with a devotee, Krishna is not happy, but he doesn't mind so much. I mean to say, just a superficial fight. Or for example, if you don't, if you're serving some devotee and if you don't give him much prasad or something, okay, fine. But what Krishna minds is that all these things are there, but don't actually make your emotions go in a negative direction. That you should not do. Don't let your emotions go away from God and His service and devotees. Keep your emotions enlightened, fresh, and devotional. That's what we are doing here. That's what we should be protecting. And if we start messing around with that, then like vain, we'll be killed by Maya. That's what is going to happen. Or killed by God. Krishna will mercifully punish us. That's how He will do, to bring us on the right track. Vain was not so fortunate enough. He didn't have a master, and he was killed by sages. But nevertheless, the whole point is some action will have to be taken then. Otherwise, it will become an irreparable situation. It will become very risky if emotions get haywired. So that's the whole point. This is the whole thing we learn from this vain thing. But the most important thing, one of the most important thing here is, it says, a serpent who is maintained with milk and bananas simply stores poison in his teeth and awaits a day to bite his master. Now, how do we deal with people who are actually against us? That's the whole point there. As far as vain goes, vain thinks sages are against me. He thinks, they are not against, but he thinks. And that's why he wants to destroy them. Vedic knowledge is against his whole paradigm, his whole philosophical outlook. He wants to destroy them. So how do we deal with people who are against us? If we try to destroy them, from our perspective, they're working against us. From their perspective, they might not be. But if you're convinced they are working against you, what do you do with them? And now we try to dispose them, get rid of them. Then you are no better than a vain. Then if you try to get rid of people will try to get rid of you. So what to do in that case? And we face again and again in preaching movement. Some people are against you, some people don't like you, devotees. And then there is a whole problem. They don't want to listen. So what to do? We can't act like vain. That's the whole point. Otherwise we'll become like vain. So what we are supposed to do? Well, Scripture says, if somebody is against you, what you should do? You should react in a loving manner, so that he learns from your actions and his enmity is destroyed by wonderful qualities. That's how it goes. You tolerate and work for his benefit. Although that person is trying to destroy the benefit you have, but you try to work for his benefit. That's how it goes. And that's what we are supposed to do. But sometimes, I mean, to the sages. Now, what about sages? Vain was working against them. What did sages do? Of course, sages first try to counsel him properly. And the second thing is, so that we can do. If somebody is working against us, we can go and talk to him. First option. And try to talk it out. If he's not convinced, then you accompany some other devotee. Take one devotee. If he's not convinced, take 2 devotees for you. If he's not convinced, take 5 devotees for you. Talk it out. But if nothing happens, then wait for some time. And if still nothing happens, and that person is actually messing up spirituality of other people, that bad it becomes. And it's not a matter just related to you, it's related to the whole community. Then you have to decide to get rid of him. I mean to say, you have to ban him from your community. So just try to get rid of Vain. They can't ban Vain to come into his own kingdom. There was just one option: to kill him. That's all, nothing else. For the benefit of the entire society. It was not a personal issue. And that's what we learn. Vain was working on his personal agenda. Sages were working on the agenda of the welfare of the whole humanity. That was a difference. Although Vain tried to harm sages, you can equally say sages killed them. They harmed him. Externally, it's like that. Vain tried to harm them, they tried to harm him. What was the difference between him and Vain? Between them and Vain, the difference is Vain was actually doing everything for his own selfish interest. But sages, actually, whatever step they took, it was for the benefit of the whole humanity. And that's what we learn from this whole episode of Vain. There are many other things, but this is the crux, what I've told you, what we learn from King Vain. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, any answers, and I'm done.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the beautiful class. I don't have any question. It was so nice. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavata pranams. Thank you so much for very, very nice class. It was a complex verse. You started with that, but you took the essence from this verse. So, Prabhuji, the question is, when we are all practicing devotees and we are like Vain, we are coming together but trying the good in others and trying to improve ourselves. So the whole, congregation or society of ISKCON is like that. Different people trying to come together to serve the Lord, and we all have Vain-like qualities. Very challenging.
It becomes very
Emotions, to keep our emotions pure and clear. So, I mean, it looks like a really impossible thing, because this whole world we came into this material world because we are envious and everybody is envious here. But in that, because of the mercy of the pure devotee, we are trying to become pure and create a spiritual world called ISKCON. And in that, because of our own backlogs of vasanas and other things, so many problems come up. How one can remain pure, at the same time cooperate and to do some managerial issues for
Yeah, you've asked a question which is impossible to answer. If somebody can answer this question, I think the whole world will change instantly. That's this question all about. It's an eternal question. So I think what Bhagavad Gita we read, there are 5 principles which are eternal: God, Jiva, Kal, Karma, Prakriti, But there's a sixth principle which is eternal, this question. That's how it goes. It's just this question, all institutions, this question is there. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. And the whole point is any institution which crashed, it was because of this question. Because this question was left unanswered. And even if this question was answered, the application of this answer, the answer to this question, it's impossible because some people will never understand. Some people will, but then most of them will not. Because of their own samskaras, and it will just continue like that. But at the same time, the question is there any solution? At least some kind of solution so that situation gets controlled. To control the situation, not exactly to solve the situation, because if we solve the situation, because if we solve this question, then it becomes Vaikuntha and it's no more material world. If everybody cooperates and nobody is envious, if we are aiming for that, then that's not going to happen. Because our aim is wrong, because it is material world, that's all. Then we are trying to make material world spiritual world, but that's never going to happen because this is material world. Krishna has already labeled it as 𝗖𝗪. This is going to be like that. And we cannot change it. It's impossible. But nevertheless, what best we can do, that's the whole point. But the whole point I told you before telling the solution is, we should not have wrong expectations. That's the whole idea, first of all. It's wrong to expect that people will not be envious and everybody will start cooperating. And that's very important to understand, because people have their expectation and they try to solve the problem and it doesn't happen, and they really get frustrated and they leave this ISKCON, they leave devotion because they have a wild dream. Let me call it as a wild dream and not a divine dream. That everything will get nice. That's Vaikuntha. Everything will not get nice. First, we have to accept this reality. Otherwise, we'll be looking for absurd options, absurd solutions. And those solutions will never going to work. And we get frustrated and others will get frustrated. So you see the point, before answering this question, I think this is very important point. We have to accept what is reality. Vedyam vastavam vastu atra. First accept what is vasta vastu. And then Shivadam. Then there will be auspiciousness. Vedyam vastavam vastu atra. Shivadam. Taptriyanunmulanam. Then we can think of a solution. And then we'll think of a proper solution, not an abstract or maybe idealistic solution. If we have idealistic expectations, then we'll come up with idealistic solutions which will never work. So let's talk about some practical solutions. You see, this is how word is. I mean to say, you can say, Prabhuji, what you're talking. But at the same time, I mean to say, I can also say, everybody should cooperate, should come together, do programs, be happy, be sincere, chant together, read together, and then nobody will be envious, everybody will be nice. But I don't want to go give these options because I don't have idealistic expectations. It's wrong to have idealistic expectations. It's wrong, I mean to say, all saints, Ramanuja, Madhva, they knew after they will go, everything will crash. They knew. I mean to say, Raghavendra Swami, South India. Now you know him, Raghavendra Swami. So he said, after 800 years, my movement will get destroyed. After 600 years, my books will get destroyed. And after 300 years of his departure, after 300 years of his departure, half of his teachings will be lost. After 600 years, after 800 years, his name will be wiped off. He knew that. And keeping this in view, then he came up with solutions. So first thing is, okay, fine, we don't have idealistic solutions. People will envious, people are envious, people will remain envious. And that's going to happen. Because if we have idealistic solutions, if we have idealistic expectations, first of all, we'll not be able to come up with idealistic good solutions, practical solutions. And second of all, we'll get disturbed. we will not get disturbed because of no solution, but we'll get disturbed because of having idealistic expectations, which will never happen. And no matter whatever solutions you'll apply, even the best solution you'll apply, idealistic expectations will never happen. And you get frustrated again and again. And then you will say nothing is working. But the whole point is things are working. But the solutions have their own limitations. That's the whole idea. Every solution has a limitation that we have to understand. And every solution will fail sometime. So don't get frustrated. Fine. Keep on going. That's okay. Don't get disturbed. If you get disturbed, that's the worst thing can happen to us. So, okay, now what's the solution? That's the whole point. Now what to do so that we can cooperate and there'll be no enviousness. And first of all, our emotions will not get wild and go out of control in such kind of situations, whether it's enviousness, whether it is anger, others' enviousness, our own enviousness. We are struggling with both of them. And our emotions get messed up and we can't chant properly. What to do with that? Is there any practical solution? Okay, with limitations, but is there any practical solution? So yes, there are some solutions which you can work on. And the whole point is, I told you, if somebody is envious, people are envious, the first thing is all this enviousness and lack of cooperation comes because of lack of communication. Major part of it is from lack of communication. People don't talk. People start assuming in their minds. And then they have different ideas. And then they become envious. That's how it goes. Without any reason, without any confirming what was the fact, simply based on assumptions. So the first thing is to actually not let assumptions come in. Just keep on talking to others and let others talk to us. I mean to say, you know what, sometimes we keep on talking to others, but then we make ourselves so inaccessible that nobody can talk to you. So then it becomes one way. Sometimes leaders do like that, isn't it? They talk with everybody. They say, come on, I'm talking to everybody, but still there are communication problems and people are envious. Well, you're talking to everybody, but they are not talking to you. So a leader also has to keep himself open and accessible. That's the whole point. Not just open, but accessible to devotees that they can talk to you. And that accessibility, how to make yourself accessible? By not acting like a leader, by not posing like a leader. Your actions and your instructions should be not like a leader, that you are high up there and they're low up here, and they'll not be able to talk to you. Just like, for example, in ISKCON scenario, people can't talk to spiritual master because he's so high. So that's why you have counselors and Shiksha Gurus and whatever. But then sometimes Shiksha Gurus are also so high, you can't talk, you can't reveal your mind, and then they get messed up. So that's the whole point. We don't have to project ourselves so high and so senior. And you can tell them, well, I'm not senior, I'm nothing. I mean, so you can talk to me. Whatever I know, I can tell. That's all. If you don't get satisfied, fine. Then you can find some better devotee and take guidance. But perfect your life. Go back to God. But I'm free to talk. Please come. And when they talk to you, no matter how much silly and how much envious their whole attitude might be, even while talking, we have to be concerned for what they are saying and try to understand what they are saying, and then try to help them. That's how it goes. At least this thing, communication has to be maintained both ways. It should be it should be a bipolar conversation or a dialogue, not a monologue. It will not work. So that's one thing. So any congregation, please make it sure, even in your congregation in Charlotte, make it sure that people are talking to each other. Keep a session that they come and talk on their problems, on their whatever. Or you can maybe keep a session, people come together, and they can also meet you or maybe the leader individually also 1 to 2 minutes, ask them how's it going, what's happening, or maybe just going here and there. We can always talk. They can also talk with each other. That's the whole session all about. That's why people bring together. They can talk. That's one solution. Of course, there are drawbacks. I told you every solution has limitations. I told you that first of all. We can't expect wonders here. So that's one thing. And another solution is challenges. That Prabhupada's solution. Come up with new challenging ideas so that people are engaged in that. When challenge comes, people come together. They're forced to leave their enviousness, their own opinions, because there's a common enemy. So to destroy an internal enemy, you create a common enemy. That's the whole point. To destroy a demon, small demon, you create a big demon. And that big demon will kill the small demon. So enviousness is a demon within all of us. So you create another big demon, bigger than enviousness. And that will destroy enviousness. So what's that demon? So what's that? To create a challenge. Having enviousness and doing devotion is a challenge. So create another challenge outside in your preaching and some risk. And I think that's one of the best solution which works. People come together, people work together, people are forced to talk, isn't it? You see, it's the same point. Even if you do the meetings, they will not talk. They will sit. One Mataji will be seeing window, another Mataji will be seeing the door. And they will not talk even in the meeting. So how to do that? Create a challenge. That's the whole idea. Common challenge. So then they will be forced to talk how to deal with this. Otherwise it will kill us. We'll all go down. And as they start talking, they'll become friends. And business will go off. That's the best thing. Prabhupada says, take risk. That's why Prabhupada said, take risk. Prabhupada was very intelligent. He knew it is for individual progress, it is for the progress of community. And that's why you see, I saw that here in India. So we are doing this project, Bhadrika Ashram. You know, you're on the bulletin. So this project, Bhadrika Ashram, this One Ashram for Farmers project. And so we are like, I mean to say, there were so many challenges, financial challenge, land challenge. Now we're working together, team challenge. So a big challenge. I mean, and there are stakes in that. If we don't, it's a real challenge. It's not a virtual challenge that we have in our mind and okay, so this is a puzzle, you have to solve it. No, it's really happening. If we don't do it properly, things are going to crash and going to become weird and absolute nasty. So we have to be very careful to get forced to us and talk and how to do things. And that has created a common energy within all of us. And people have become friends. People are working together. And that's how you see the whole point. That's how these corporates, they work. You see, if in a devotion line, devotees are envious. I mean, what talk about people who are non-devotees? They are like, their whole being is enviousness, isn't it? But nevertheless, the corporates keep on going. People are working together. They keep on going. They don't crash. Unless there is some economic problem, something different. They keep on going, and there are millions of thousands of people working. One thing is money, and the portion of money they are working together. But at the same time, money is not everything, because they can fight. They can. I mean to say, even in ISKCON, if you pay money, there are higher devotees, but then they fight. They're envious. They don't work. People are there. People continue. Why? Of course, one is money, their own desires. But another point is a common challenge. There's a big challenge in the market. Your company must succeed. There are so many people who are competing with you. You have to talk together. You have to be together to beat those companies. And that's how they keep on going. They become friends. They share ideas. And many of the things are solved. They are able to work together in spite of the fact that there is money working. The force of money is there, but money cannot accomplish everything. I mean, they can end up fighting, and they can say, I can't work with this person. It's impossible. So, but they're able to work together. We have seen that. So they work on the same principal challenges. They set big goals. Here, if you set big goals, if you create real challenge, I'm trying to say that, not a virtual challenge, it will work. It's going to work. So you have to sit and think about that. So that there are two ways which we can deal with the enviousness and cooperation. Cooperation will never come by lectures. I'll tell you, it's not going to come. There are thousands of lectures happening. How many times Prabhupada said cooperate, but that doesn't happen. A practical solution is, or you might say, okay, now we'll do a program. From today we'll all cooperate, we'll all be nice devotees. And how to cooperate? Okay, fine, you make pizza, you make burger, and you make this nice sweet. We'll come together, share sweets, and then talk nicely, do katha and chant, and everything will be nice. Oh my dear, nothing will be nice. This is not going to work. Because we are thinking of idealistic expectations, and idealistic solutions is not going to work. That can help, of course. That can help. Why? Because if you come together, you will talk. That's the whole point, communication. You will talk. It's not because of pizzas and burgers. It's not because of talking about Krishna. Of course, talking about Krishna is the best solution. But the whole point, we are conditioned. That's the whole point. And another point is, we don't know anything about Krishna. That's another point. We know something about Krishna. I mean, so you are there on that forum. Simply remember Krishna. Some Matajis are there. And you know, I mean to say what I'm talking. To talk about Krishna. It's a very different game altogether. We're talking around Krishna. Not about Krishna. It's a very different thing. And to talk about Him, we need to have a great deal of knowledge. And that devotees don't have, so they come together. They are very new, mature. So that thing doesn't really work because it doesn't happen. It works, but it doesn't happen. And chanting, okay, chanting is not so hi-fi so that our mind is like straightened by chanting. And that's what is happening, isn't it? So coming together, okay, fine. So the only thing which works is, of course, how that works is meetings. When you meet together, how that works is that works through the principle of communication. People talk. So assumptions are gone, doubts are gone, but if that's not happening, then it doesn't work. So how to make people communicate with each other and work together to create a challenge? That's the whole point. As a leader, we should make people keep on working. And that's what it is said about one of the saint. So one of the saint, he was there. Somebody asked him, what's the success of your saint? Oh, this saint only. So Saint Abba poem in Muslim saint. And they asked, well, what do you do? It's just so nice in regulating people and helping people, and people cooperate. He said, well, there are three things I do. I don't eat the entire day. I eat in the evening. Whole day I'm in silence. And the third thing is I do lot of manual work. By manual work, he meant he create challenges, and then he makes people work together. And that's the whole point there. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much two things I can recommend, practical solutions. Other things I've tried, you have tried, it doesn't work. But this works. And this solution, it's not my concoction. It works, and it's also scriptural. I mean to say, Kamandika Niti Shastra mentions this solution. Prabhupada mentions this. And that's why Prabhupada always said, we have declared a war against Maya. And you see the point, this mood of war is necessary when we are living in this world, because if that mood is not there, then we'll end up fighting. That mood of war, that is urgency, and there's a common enemy. You see the point, that mood has to be there. Then people will work together. When that mood is lost, of course, I mean to say, we also need a mood of loving Krishna and a whole spiritual mood, that Raganuga Bhakti. That's also there. That is 50%. That's a half part. But we can't be lost in that mood because we are living in material world. We are living with people who are not in that mood. That's the whole point. If everybody is in that mood, okay, fine. We love and we will be in spiritual mood, and that's very nice. Who doesn't like that? But welcome to material world, it doesn't happen like that. And many people don't have that mood, so what to do with that? But they are with us. So the next option is create a mood of the war. Declare war against Maya. Inspire them. We are at war. We are in urgency. We are under attack. And then people will work together. If they will feel that risk, they'll feel that oppression by the enemy, they'll be forced to work together. And that's what it works. So there are two solutions: communication and risk. And this, and to create that, the whole mood of creating a declaration of war, a warlike mood, which was actually Prabhupada's mood, by the way, which we are all missing, which we have lost in our own, I don't know, whatever. We have lost that. We can revive that. I think that's what I can talk about.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very nice and instructive points. And in fact, 2 years back, I asked this question to Bir Krishna Maharaj, and he answered exactly the same. That I asked that, he told a thing that if Prabhupada says jump, we will ask how high. But if now the current spiritual masters, if we say jump, people will ask why. Yeah. So, and then he was telling the same thing exactly, that we were all in a mood of army and fire, and we want to change the world and we want to preach.
Yeah. So see the point. It's all Prabhupada disciples know this, and that's why the movement was going up. We are losing this, and that's why the movement is going down. It's coming down. It's up to us to again get our gears on. The people know this, actually. You see, everybody and you see, coincidentally, it's the same answer. And I mean to say, it's good because this answer actually, B. Krishna Maharaj's answers confirms my answer also. It actually helps me also to actually understand, oh, this is correct, gives me confidence. These people know, and if we can simply do this, bring that spirit back, everything is going to get solved. That's the whole idea. Everything. Mahaprabhu had the spirit. Mahaprabhu and disciples from Bengal and from he sent some of his disciples to actually Radesh. He himself went to South India. They were not exactly sitting. They were in the mood. And that's of course that ultimate solution. And that's very nice. If he was talking the same thing, that's great. And just apply it, that's all. But so for that, to sit and think, what can we do so that this mood comes up? What kind of challenge you can take? How much challenge you can take? And then set your goals and get going. And you will see then all these gossips and bad things, it will just vanish. It's a great answer. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful association.
Anybody wants to ask anything, or I think?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Oh, is someone else trying to ask a question?
Yeah. Is that okay? Can I go, or you want to go?
Yeah, please go. Please.
Okay. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. This is from your YouTube lectures, Prabhuji. You did talk about, when the devotees advance, the holy name, form, and transcendental pastimes get revealed to the devotee. And when you say that, you mean it spontaneously, it will happen, and you don't have to put in any extra effort on your side. They also have this question where you say, your mind goes, let the mind go where it wants as far as the transcendental, thinking about transcendental pastimes or something of that nature. So my question is, when you chant the holy name, you just concentrate on the holy name and serve the holy name, right? And as far as possible, I mean, I don't know, when you think about the transcendental pastimes, it's just like as if I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure if it's spontaneous or not. But yeah, I just thought maybe I'll get some clarity with you on that.
Yeah, you see the point. If you're thinking about pastimes, it's not spontaneous. That's all. First point.
Okay.
So that's wrong. And if that pastime comes and goes, I mean, some pastime comes, and then some other thought comes, wild thoughts, then it's not spontaneous. Spontaneity will carry you, and you will not carry spontaneity. Spontaneity will actually pull the mind, just like the mind of a boy which is attracted towards a girl. Now, if you ask the boy, why are you thinking of that girl? He says, I'm helpless. Spontaneity is marked not by starting to think, but spontaneity is confirmed when you are trying to stop thinking and it doesn't stop. That's spontaneity.
Makes sense.
You try to do that. So most of us are not spontaneous, isn't it? If we start thinking, it'll just stop. That's all. Just go. We want to start thinking something else, we'll just forget everything. So it's not spontaneous for most of us. But the whole point is, so now what to do? How to chant? So how to chant is, of course, while chanting, Prabhupada says focus on the holy names, the sound vibration. That's okay. That's one thing we have to do. And Prabhupada says another thing also. Prabhupada says also cry like a child. Prabhupada says another thing, pray, engage me in your service. So there are many things which Prabhupada is saying, and we have to put them together and then understand what he's trying to say. It is not just focus your mind on sound vibration. It is not just that. It is not just that. Of course, that injunction might be applicable to just a new person, just a person who has just come the first day, and you tell him to chant. Then what you will say? Okay, just focus on sound vibration. He doesn't have any understanding. But at the same time, when you advance, then Prabhupada says, okay, then pray, engage me in your service. Then you might like to say to that person, okay, add this prayer. And then afterwards, you will say, okay, then cry like a child. That's very different. It's not just intellectual prayer. So the whole point is, while chanting, we have to focus on the sound vibration first. And the second thing, we have to focus, sound vibration which is made by body, physical body. The second thing, we have to focus on the prayer which is through mind and intelligence. And the third thing is on the mood which is from the soul, which is cry like a child, which is the mood of longing for the Lord. I mean to say, longing for His mercy or for His service. On these three things we have to focus. And then chanting works. Then it will start working. Otherwise, it will not work. Otherwise, if we simply focus on sound vibration, it's almost like parrot, isn't it? Parrot can also do that. And Prabhupada says in one of his lectures, and Prabhupada, one of his discussions, he said to one of his disciples, you are chanting like a parrot. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Where is the mood? He said. So we chant. Our chanting is not like yogis. Yogis focus on sound, fire, a point. We are devotees. We have nothing to do with focusing on something. Our whole point, devotion, is mood. Krishna bhavana. It is all bhavana. If that component is missing, nothing happens. Of course, now our bhavana, now emotions have various levels. It's not we have same emotions like gopis. Gopis have different emotions. Pandavas had emotions, but they're less emotions than gopis. We know that. Bhagavatam. Prabhupada had emotions. There are different layers of emotions. So we have to chant we have to focus on our emotions, and the best emotion now for all of us is, Krishna, you are my eternal master. No, this is not something intellectual. This is emotions. You are my master. I'm your slave, and use me as you like. That will be the success of our life. Now, these kind of emotions which are coming from the mood of dasya, from the mood of servitorship, that has to be focused on. Like Krishna says in Gita, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Suhet Sarnam. That verse is there. It's all emotions. It's not words. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. Krishna says, you are my gati, you are my goal, you are my maintainer, you are my master Prabhu, you are the witness. Prabhu Sakshi, Nivasa, you are the board, Suhit, you are the well-wisher. These are not words. These are emotions of devotees. And that is the real focus of a devotee. So that, if we try to practice that, then the chanting comes. So all these three things together, that will actually play the music. Sound vibrations, then these prayers and the mood. Otherwise it doesn't work. And then slowly spontaneous remembrance will come. And when spontaneous remembrance will come, then you can check whether it is spontaneous or not. Try to stop it. Try to just get rid of it. Try to think something else. And if it doesn't go, then that's spontaneous. And if it goes, still we have not reached spontaneity. Like that.
Prabhuji, another question I have is, I see that you have a lot of Hindi lectures, but they are not translated. Is there a possibility to put English subtitles or something like that? Because some topics are really interesting and we don't have that in English. I was just thinking...
You know what? I need 10 hands. But I have to...
Prabhuji,
that's the whole problem.
Yeah, I can help you, Prabhuji, with that if you want. I mean, if you give me directions.
That will be great. So what's your name? From where are you? I don't know. Who is
Prabhuji,
talking?
I'm Radhika Kasturi from Folsom, California.
Okay. Do one thing. Just drop a mail to me.
Prabhuji, I think I have. But again, I'll drop you an email.
Yeah, please drop me, because there's so many people. And but I will search. So your name is Radhika, and so your mail ID is this, Radhika? What's your mail ID?
Yes, Radhika Kasturi 99@gmail.com.
Okay.
No, that's my email.
So I will. If you have dropped, then I will search it. And of course,
yes.
If you can please maybe drop it again, I'll be obliged.
Sure, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
And then we can do. That's a great idea.
Yes, Prabhuji. That will be great for us.
No, but you are by like South Indian or what? I mean, so you don't know Hindi.
Yes, I don't know Hindi.
Okay, fine.
I'm a South Indian. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we'll be in touch. And then
okay, Prabhuji. That will be really great, because some of the things, I think you have more topics in Hindi compared to English.
Yeah, you're right. See, I don't speak in English. English lecture, it's conference, or whenever I come to America. In India, nobody wants to hear English.
Right. So we will immensely benefit, Prabhuji, if that translation happens, and if there is a way I could help, I will definitely help. Now itself, I'll drop an email to you.
Okay, fine. Perfect. Yeah, Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You're back, huh?
Yeah. Well, now I have two questions. After that answer, I have to follow up. So, you say that we should chant with mood, and it's all I can do to focus my attention on the sound. So if I'm also trying to chant with mood, I'm wondering how that is to keep that from being a distraction. And also, it's because I don't have this mood that I'm trying to chant in the first place, and this idea of trying to chant with mood sounds like it feels artificial to me, because I don't have that sincerity of mood.
So as I understood your question perfectly, and the answer is fine if you don't have a mood now and it sounds artificial, fine, perfect. That's usual. That's how it goes on. So then we have to find a solution to get that mood, isn't it? Now we have to work for that to get. So how to do that is, Jan, but then it's very important. Then you start reading prayers daily. That will help you to get the mood. Prayers from Bhagavatam, Gajendra Moksha, prayers of Kunti. So just offer those prayers to Krishna. You sit in front of the altar, just read them and offer to him. Not just read them, that's the whole point. Not just sit in your sofa and read it. No, just read the translations. Don't read the purport. Just read the translations and offer them. If you can read in Sanskrit, that's a perfect. You can sit in front of Krishna, photograph or whatever, and tell to Krishna, Krishna, I'm offering you this prayer by Kunti Mahani, this. Just do it daily, and you see the mood will come. You will see the mood will come. That's a solution.
So even though I cannot relate to the mood of those prayers now, you're saying
absolutely no problem. If you start offering those prayers, I mean to say, if you start offering, that's why I told you, don't just sit on sofa, do something, but because then you'll be reading. Of course, if you have already developed mood, then if you're sitting on sofa or whatever, you'll be offering in your mind. But now, just sit in front of an altar or a picture and just offer it, and it will come. That's why these prayers are there, to help us develop that. That's why Krishna revealed these prayers. Otherwise, what was the function of revealing these prayers? So that we can repeat, and then we'll advance, and these things will come.
Okay, but then also, so practice offering the prayers. But now, let's say during japa, right?
Yeah, now what to do, isn't it? So now...
Yeah, I mean, because it requires so much work just to focus the mind on the sound vibration.
Fine. Yeah, you're right, absolutely right. Thank you. But you see the whole point. You see, I'll tell you a secret now. The secret is, initially you need focus too. You need a lot of energy to focus mind on sound vibration. I completely agree with you. We were on the same page before. But the whole point is how to do something by spending less energy. Okay, let's talk about physics for some time. Is there any solution that we can accomplish the same thing by spending less energy? That's the whole question. If we are spending energy on sound vibration, focusing our mind, if there is a way, if we can spend less energy to focus our mind on sound vibration, then the rest of the energy we can use to focus on mood. But now whole energy is going on sound vibration, so there's no energy left to do anything else.
Yeah.
So in any ways, so what does physics say about that? Less energy, more output. Now, there's just one way to do this. So just like there was a well, see, in olden days there was a well and people used to put bucket and then pull it by their hand. It fills with water and you pull it. But then some guy came and he applied intelligence and he made a pulley. And the pulley, you spend less energy and you get more water. So by intelligence, you can actually work out a way where you can spend less energy and then get the same output. So the whole point is, now when we are chanting, you spend more energy, okay, fine. So you can try this out. Before chanting, I mean to say, you start reading philosophy. Start understanding things, philosophy. If you approach this whole situation, then first of all, automatically within few days you will spend less energy. First thing. And now when you're chanting, if you're spending more energy, one of the Prabhupada's solution...
I'm sorry, Prabhu, this first thing I don't even understand.
Oh, okay, the first thing is try to approach devotional service intellectually. That's the first thing. So when you read books, so with time, automatically you will be spending less energy in holy name. That's one thing. But now you're asking for an immediate solution. What to do now? So now you can start. Prabhupada says, that's Prabhupada's solution. Prabhupada says, if it's very difficult to chant and focus on sound vibration, the best thing is to chant loudly. Prabhupada says that.
Is that the intellectual approach?
What's that?
Is that the intellectual approach that you're referring to?
No. The next option, Prabhupada says, if you want to chant, if you want to focus your mind, and if it's very difficult, chant loudly. I
know, but first you said you try the intellectual approach first. Apply it.
Yeah, no. Intellectual approaches. You try to understand what is chanting intellectually. That's intellectual approach.
Mm-hmm.
What is chanting and what is holy name? So try to search in the folio. What exactly is mechanism of chanting? Why we are chanting? You see the point? You approach this whole chanting business intellectually, and you do some surgery on it.
Yeah. For example, why it's beneficial to chant? What?
Yeah, like that. And what is holy name and how it works? For example, all these things. And the second thing is chant loudly. Because all those intellectual approach, it will take some time, but now what to do? Chant loudly, go to a park. I mean, so where do you live in America?
Yes.
No, I'm asking. So I'm asking, where do you live in America? Where you're based?
Yeah, I live in New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Okay, fine. So New Jersey has, I came to New Jersey. It has pretty good parks there. America. You go to a park, have a stroll. There's nobody with you. Chant loudly. And that is a very good technique to fix your mind because in fact, it's not just works for you. It works for big Paramahamsa. Jagannath Babaji, he used to chant loudly. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he used to chant loudly. Whole night he used to be in a room. He constructed a room with 6, 7, 12 inches wall. 12, 13 inches wall. I think even more than that. He used to and go and just.
I mean, I have very difficulty right here in my own house. I like the environment right here in my own house. There's no problem with chanting right here.
Okay, that's great. And then just chant loudly, and you will see. If you start offering prayers, and if you go an intellectual approach on holy name, if you chant loudly, you will see within a very short time you'll get all those mood and everything automatically, and you'll be spending less energy on focusing on holy name. That's the whole point there.
Because when we're chanting, when we're trying to chant with mood, it's just, from my stage right now, it seems like, okay, my attention is going to be divided between trying to chant with mood and trying to.
You see the point. Your situation is better than me. Because when I joined, I was there at that time. My situation was, I was so perplexed whether I should focus on Hare or Krishna. I had that problem. Leave about mood and everything. I was thinking, my God, there are 3 names in this mantra. Hare, Krishna and Ram. Where to focus? That confusion I had, and it took me time to come out of that. So you see, your situation is much better than me. At least. So I think it'll work. It'll work if you do like that.
Okay, Prabhu, wish me luck. I just have one other question. You just briefly mentioned in your talk that, we don't even really have a good conception of what it means to have faith in someone. So can you elaborate on this? What you feel it really means to have faith?
Yeah, to have faith in someone, it's a very big statement. We give no idea absolutely what do we mean by having faith in somebody. That's why the whole world is facing crisis of relationships. Everybody's talking about relationships. Because, in fact, not just today, but it's in material world. We have no conception of what means to have faith, and that we can understand by Srimati Radharani. Lord Chaitanya came to make us understand what actually do you mean by having faith in somebody. And he said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that having faith in somebody means to actually one thing, to be ready to die for him. To be ready to die for him. So in fact Chaitanya Prabhu said, faith, to have faith in somebody means to actually be happy if that person is happy in giving you miseries. And if he is happy in giving you troubles, then your miseries, your troublesome life is happy because he's feeling happy. That's faith. Faith transfers the self from oneself to the person whom you're loving. Faith does that. Faith demands life. Faith demands absolute reversal of consciousness. Absolute reversal. Because we feel happy, we are happy. We feel miseries in which we are miserable. But then there Srimati Radharani says, no, I feel miserable if I am happy and my beloved is not happy. Then that happiness is misery to me. And that happiness troubles me. Because how can I be happy if my beloved is not happy? That's absolute ridiculous. That's the greatest misery which I have. So it's total reversal of phenomena. Happiness is happiness, misery, happiness, misery. And happiness is. Now that's the whole point. So real faith is perception of what is.
My goodness, Prabhu, your voice is breaking.
That's real faith.
Okay, so
you can hear me now?
Well, let's see. I mean, it's kind of hit and miss, but we often hear that real faith, I guess you can say, is like unconditional love. But then we also hear that we have to place our faith intelligently. So why would we place our faith in someone who appears to be who appears to be giving us misery? Why place our faith in such a person?
That's the whole point. That is why a faith which is based on intelligence, that's perfect. But that's not the ideal thing we are looking for. A faith based on intelligence, only intelligence, will fail after some time. Because this question will come. Why would we feel happiness in miseries? If that person whom we are having faith, if he gives us miseries, we'll be happy. Why is that? Now that's the whole question. Of course, we have answers for this. But the whole point is, at this point, intelligence will break. It can't go forward. After this point, your intuitions and your emotions will lead you the path. Will actually lead your path. They'll be our guide. And so, why would we feel happy if that beloved gives us miseries? Well, if a beloved gives miseries and if he feels happy in giving us miseries, those miseries will appear happiness to us. Now, how this goes, how this happens intellectually, here you have to put down your pen. That's all. And then emotions will guide you.
Mm-hmm.
So some things are beyond. Achinte 𝗪𝗲𝗀𝗃 bhava. It's inconceivable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why faith should be based on both intelligence and emotions. That faith cannot be destroyed. Only intelligence, it might get confused and lost after some time.
Yeah, so basically, real faith that you're talking about is on a platform that transcends intelligence?
Yeah, of course. At that point, when you transcend intelligence, I mean to say not, so I'm not saying faith doesn't have intelligence platform. That's absolute nonsense. Faith is not based on ignorance. Faith is based on intelligence, but when you transcend intelligence, when your faith is fully based on intelligence, scriptural intelligence, and then you transcend it, at that time, we can understand why those miseries are happiness, not before that.
Mm-hmm. So again, we can say that initially, as we're trying to aspire for that unconditional love, the intelligence is a requirement, but then after a point, then the unconditional love has to go, cannot depend on it alone.
Yeah, after that, unconditional love has to become really unconditional. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point. There's no condition whatsoever. There's not even condition of intelligence after something.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Then it's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Well, your answer was also perfect. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay. So, I think we can end there.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the detailed explanation and very practical examples. Thank you all. The Mataji said a beautiful question. And if there are no more questions or comments, let us offer obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataru Yasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha dhanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav-vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.